The social photography movement was the recording or documentation of what the world looked like in all aspects. The movement called for social change and allowed the public to see the poor living conditions of those suffering through the depression and hardships. The photos allowed viewers to see the horrific conditions of slums in different parts of the United States and called for social reform.
Social photography is generally used to bring awareness to political events and news stories and a need for social change. Because of this, the look and style varies through the years. Initially, social photography represented issues like the Great Depression, used black and white film, and created almost uneasy feeling and eerie compositions. The purpose was to bring attention to social problems and evoke feeling in the viewers so that they could better understand current issues and events.
One typical subject matter of the social photography movement was children suffering from the abuses of child labor. Photographers of the movement attempted to bring to light the social injustices of child labor. Other photographers used people living in the slums of New York City for their subject matter. This emphasizes the poor living conditions and inadequate sanitation, calling for housing regulations and outlawing crowded living quarters.
Jacob Riis was a Danish-born newspaper reporter who captured images of social injustice in the New York City slums. Riis worked on a series of exposés on the condition of slums in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Riis had a major impact on the conditions of slums, his photographs leading to new housing regulations and the outlaw of windowless rooms in crowded quarters.
Louis Hine was an American sociologist and photographer that captured the abuses of child labor in the 20th century. Hine documented the horrific conditions as evidence for future reforms. Hine documented these abuses from 1908 to 1921, taking a total of 5,000 images for the National Child Labor Committee.
Dorothea Lange was an American photographer and photojournalist, known for her work documenting social change and poverty during the Great Depression. Lange's most famous photograph captured a mother and her two children working on a pea farm to survive during the Depression. Lange's work is still widely famous and known for making a difference, her photos impacting others.
Manuel Rivera Ortiz was known for his social documentation of people's living conditions in lesser developed countries. Rivera Ortiz traveled to many parts of the world, from Kenya to India, Bolivia to Cuba, and further, documenting poverty, hope, and diversity of different people. Rivera Ortiz's most famous works include exposés of the Mumbai slums and his breakout collection on tobacco workers in the Vinales Valley in Cuba.
Originally, social photography was published in newspapers using a process called halftone. In this process, photos were converted into tiny dots to depict the varying values in a photograph in black and white. This process is still used today in some newspapers. Other types of social photography are made using black and white or colored film. Since social photography can come and be published in many different forms, the processes for social photographs vary greatly. Social photography was first published in newspapers but has evolved to accommodate many medias in order to raise awareness about inequality and unfair policies. One influence for social photography, award-winning photographer Chase Jarvis says, "Photography has always been a social craft, a way of telling stories, cultivating emotion, awareness, and connection. Now more than ever before, we don't require permission to socialize the results of that craft, our work at scale." Jeremy Cowart, influential photographer, explains how social media has affected photography. "Just like everyone else, I now shoot and share as soon as I can. Before social media, we photographed our lives to remember. Now we photograph our lives to remember and share." Jacob Riis began to take photos and show the poor living conditions of New York City slums because no mere description could demonstrate the misery and vice that he had noticed in his 10 years of experience and suggest the direction in which good might be done. The idea of sharing photography is used today not just to promote ideas, but also to captivate audiences and raise awareness for issues and events. Social photography is generally affiliated with politics and correlates to current events which have been influenced by historical ideas and social audiences.
Perhaps one of the most famous photographs, Migrant Mother, was photographed by Dorothea Lange during the Great Depression and had a lasting impact on the world ever since. Photographs like this one really help to illustrate political issues and allow viewers to understand and connect with them. The lasting impact of the social photography movement carries on to this day and promotes understanding as well as awareness around the world.